Here we are in Juliet, Georgia, home of the coal-fired Scherer power plant. It's the #1 power polluter in the country, burning 11 million tons of coal per year.
You're looking at 50% of our electricity. Coal. Learn more about America's power.
Does clean coal exist? If so, then how is it that this coal-fired power plant is still the top polluter in the country? In this episode of Youthfuel, we travel to Juliet, Georgia to investigate Scherer power plant and Georgia's power monopoly. Scherer produces the most carbon pollution in America, but how are they being held accountable for the environmental and health impacts both locally and worldwide? From greenhouse gas emissions to hazardous waste, we are going to uncover the reality of America's nastiest neighbor and discover how their carbon pollutes the planet. I'm Vanessa Black. I'm a filmmaker and an activist. I'm traveling around America to find out more about our biggest polluters and climate change deniers. Do you know how your electricity is generated?
Scherer Power, no? The company? Yeah.
Do you know what generates it?
No.
No, I don't either.
What if I told you it comes from burning coal? Would you be surprised?
Yeah, that sounds pretty old-fashioned.
In 2012, Scherer emitted 21.8 million metric tons of carbon dioxide. The average coal-burning power plant only emits 3.5 million.
Energy efficiency only makes sense. Why are you going to pay for more energy if you can find more efficient ways to do it and stop using coal?
The nearly $100 billion spent on clean coal technologies have resulted in real environmental progress.
Clean coal is an idea that greenhouse gases can be captured and stored underground. This technology claims to be environmentally progressive, but the fact of the matter is, it will still produce highly toxic materials as a byproduct of its chemistry. So how can this concept be good for the planet? Companies are investing billions to experiment with this technology. However, as of today, there hasn't been a single kilowatt of energy generated by clean coal.
Things that harm society should actually pay their true costs. It's called Pigovian taxation, and we do it with cigarettes. We tax the hell out of cigarettes because of the harm that they do.
Coal seems cheap, oil seems cheap, but it's not really cheap because there are all of these costs that go along with it that we end up paying for in other ways.
Whether it's the coal we use now or the clean coal of the future, no matter how you look at it, coal is harmful. If you had an alternative energy, would you want it?
Yeah.
Of course.
Hell yeah.
I would like solar. That would be my ultimate dream.
But the fact is, Georgia has no choice.
In Georgia, there was a law passed in 1973 called the Territorial Act, and it basically gives Georgia Power exclusive access to selling energy in the state of Georgia. So it essentially prohibits the expansion of solar energy here in this state because Georgia Power has the exclusive right to sell energy here in our state.
A free market is good for the consumer. It allows for competitive prices. At the end of the day, a carbon tax means more choice.
In order for Georgia Power to meet these emission standards, they're going to have to close down some of the worst polluting coal plants. Scherer obviously is among them.
Currently, the EPA recommends states consider a regional level carbon tax through their Clean Power Plan.
It basically comes down to we're going to have to change the whole paradigm of how we create and distribute energy in Georgia and in the United States. Right now, it's very centralized.
What are some of the other problems with our energy paradigm?
Lawsuits over contaminated water, soil, and air right here in Middle Georgia.
The lawyers filed 13 lawsuits on behalf of 23 Juliet residents, claiming this power plant and this quarry have contaminated the neighborhood.
Can you tell us about your husband and what happened?
He died 12 days after being diagnosed with leukemia. The man 2 doors over died right before my husband did. A friend of mine that lived up the road had breast cancer. The 3 little boys that lived next door had leukemia.
And do people think that it's related to the plant?
I think it is.
There's too many unexplained illnesses. There has to be an explanation of more than they just got sick.
So what does the community say about all these accidents that are happening and all these reports of illness?
We believe it's coming from the ash ponds. They aren't lined.
They found toxins like arsenic, lead, chromium, and uranium present in their air, water, soil, and bodies. They claim the chemicals come from coal ash at Plant Scherer.
By some accounts, the fly ash emitted by a power plant, a byproduct of burning coal for electricity, carries into the surrounding environment 100 times more radiation than a nuclear power plant producing the same amount of energy. This scary fact is one example of why we need stronger regulations. What happened to your aunt? And she had breast cancer, right?
She had breast cancer that her doctor told her was environmentally caused.
So it's very clear that it's hazardous, and obviously something that's as hazardous as coal ash should be regulated. Unfortunately, when you really question a company like Georgia Power or these oil companies, they meet or exceed all state and federal regulations. And the thing is they're right, they do.
The standards that we hold each other accountable for as far as neighborly duties, they apply to large corporations as well, and we believe that they have forgotten that.
Given the power behind the coal industry, we need to keep their influence in check and challenge the status quo. We need to stand up for stronger regulations that protect the environment and us. Join the growing movement to solve the climate crisis and fuel a cleaner future.